lot that we can do. It's not everybody doing one thing. It's everybody doing a lot of things and working together and coordinating together and doing whatever we can do. And I think that we can turn the East area blue, uh, even if we have to do it one board at a time, one city at a time, whatever.
Good. Thank you very much, Patricia. I've started the YouTube stream. It should be going pretty soon, so we're going to get started momentarily. Um, I'm just figuring out a technical thing. So bear with me a moment, talk among yourselves or not. Uh,
Anyone on the call want to move to El Cajon and run for city council?
hmm.
Just,
Who
just
are
think
you
about it.
talking?
You should think about it.
Um, I have something to share real quick. Um, the city of San Diego worked with the San Diego County Water Authority to pull all funding for our water conservation garden in East County. And they did not interact with East County Water District or the population. This just happened last week. And to me, it's very offensive that the city did that. And so I just wanted to let you know that it's one more time. The city kind of stepped in and said, well, we're just going to do what we're going to do. So what about East County? And if you've been to that garden, it is a gem. It is world famous. So I just wanted to let you know about that.
Thank you. Thank you, Suzanne.
Our pictures.
So it's time. It's time. I'm going to get started here. I'm going to mute everybody. As Tina said, that's my favorite part.
Pictures on.
All right. So thank you, everyone, for taking the time to join us this evening for our July 2025 monthly general meeting of the La Mesa Foothills Democratic Club. It is Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025. I am Mitch Wagner. I am a board member at large for the club. I used to host these things monthly, 2020 to 2022 on Zoom, and then we all went back to in-person things. And I took a break from politics, and then the clown face emoji got reelected, and I said, shoot, I leave the room for 1 minute, and you kids mess everything up. So now I have to come back and fix the whole country. So here we are. We have an outstanding lineup of speakers for you tonight. Our club president, Walter, I mean Tina Reinberg. Walter is her dog, but we love her dog more. We love her a lot too, but we love the dog maybe a little more. Tina Reinberg will kick things off. Board member Rosamund Trujillo Blevins will discuss calls to action, demonstrations, rallies, postcard campaigns, whatever. Um, Board member Chris Pearson, our VP Political Action, will analyze election results for us. We'll hear from Laura Preble to talk about the recall drive to pull the Grossmont Union School District board members out, the bad board members out, get some good board members in there. Colin Parrott, CEO and General Counsel for Circulate San Diego and former La Mesa City Council member, will talk about affordable housing in the county. And then we'll hear announcements from county Democratic Party leaders and candidates to talk about what's important. So before we begin, a couple of things you should know about how meetings will run in case you haven't done a Zoom meeting in a really long time. And if that is the case for you, I am extremely jealous. We're streaming this meeting on our YouTube channel. So if you have friends or family who can't make it tonight on Zoom, or you experience technical difficulties and have to leave us, you can watch on that YouTube channel. Just search for La Mesa Foothills Democratic Club on YouTube and you'll find it. If you have anything you need to bring to our attention, or you notice any technical problem or anyone disrupting the meeting, please message my board colleague, Rosamund Trujillo Blevins. Please don't message me because I might ignore you because I'm busy doing this now. If you have questions for any of our speakers, hit the raise hand button or type them in the chat and we will do your best to get them addressed. Don't raise your actual hand because you all look really tiny on my screen. And now our club president, Tina Reinberg, has some things to say unless she just wants to put Walter on camera for a while and we're good with that. Hold on, oh, there you are. Okay, you're already unmuted. So unmute yourself, please. You still seem to be muted here.
Okay.
Good, great, thank you.
Some people prefer me muted, but thank you for being here. And remember, next month, we're not on Zoom and we're not at the center. We're at the park. Every July and August, we cannot have access to the center because they have summer camp. It's not because we're going broke. It's not because we can't afford a meeting place anymore. That is the reason. People love to spread rumors about us, and most of them are not true or even all that entertaining. We're gearing up for another year of elections. Somebody tell me, when was the last time we had an off year? I don't remember one. It just seems like every year start blending into the next. What I personally always need is more people who want to walk for our candidates. If you love our candidates, you need to prove it. And you can call people, you can knock on doors. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but it's also not the hardest thing in the world. It's very easy and it's very hard at the same time. And that's what we need. That's what our candidates need. And I love it and hate it. So I'm looking forward to that. And remember that we're all Democrats here. So let's be respectful of each other. Thank you. That's all I have. And if I all of a sudden jump up and down and scream, it's because my grandchild was born.
Okay, well, we can't top that.
No.
Yeah, I can testify, by the way. I at first had terrible anxiety about walking and going door to door, but now I kind of like it. Most people want us to hear from you. Anyway, so now we're going to hear from Rosamond Trujillo Blevins, and she's going to talk about action you can take and other announcements. Rosamond, take it.
I'm going to share my screen, if that's okay with everyone. I'm going to share the screen. Let me get this up here. And let me see. Where is it? Cancel. Let's see. Where is it? Oh,
Big green button at the bottom,
can't seem to find.
bottom center. Are you on?
I have it.
Good, thank you. Good.
That's it.
I'm sorry, Rosamund, can I
Is it
interrupt for one
sharing?
quick second?
Yep.
We forgot to
Sure.
welcome guests and welcome guests of the club.
Okay. Thank you all for coming. Yeah. Now, is that, let's see what's going on here. That's not
If
it.
you're a guest, can you just raise your hand or? Wonderful. Wonderful. We love guests. That's all I had to do. Now I'll shut up.
Okay, let's see where it is. There it is. Is it sharing now?
No, it's not.
Okay, let me find it again. Uh-oh.
Let's come back to Rosamond. Chris.
Let's see where it.
Ready to go.
That'd be,
All right, Rosamond, we'll come back to you after Chris.
go ahead, Chris.
If you can pull up the sdvote.com slide, that'd be great. If not, it's in the chat. As you know, Paloma Aguirre won, but the key stats available on the sdvote.com website. There are 370,801 registered voters in District 1. The turnout was 21%, extremely low. There were 77,774 ballots counted. The big it's a permanent change in how elections are run. Mail ballots were 75,292. Let me say that again: 77,000 total ballots counted, 75,000 in mail. And just to remind you, the mail ballots go out a month before the Tuesday, the first Tuesday of the election. So they went out June 3rd that week, and people started voting. The really surprising number is just 2,482 votes actually went to the polls. The scary part about this election, it's great that we won. We've retained a Democratic majority on the San Diego County Board of Supervisors. We can move forward with the progress we've made since we elected Nathan Fletcher as the majority, and we kind of took it over. We maintained it with Nora Vargas. It was in jeopardy when she resigned, and we regained it and cemented it yesterday. So congratulations. The people in this club worked their butts off. Specifically, we worked with the campaign to target, as was mentioned earlier, about 1,700 handwritten postcards that were dropped the first week of the campaign. We held fundraisers, we made donations, we walked precincts, we made phone calls, we sent out texts. We were very, very active in this election. And that's the kind of thing when Colin refers to you need candidates, we need to support those candidates. It's not just the Democratic Party is basically two or three people in Murphy Canyon. It's not going to be a lot of help. I mean, if candidates can raise money and run it through the county party, that's where the help comes from. That's where the action comes from. That's what Paloma Aguirre did. Her outstanding consultant, Dan Rodenstretch, ran an outstanding campaign. But the scary part is these special elections have such a low turnout. I mean, look at this. Look at that 21%. That is incredibly low. I mean, the Democratic registration advantage in this district is almost 2-1. Those votes should be 70,000 versus 35,000, but the big number here is almost 300,000 people stayed home. 293,000 people stayed home. They didn't vote. Almost 80% didn't vote. We have to realize that. We have to work through it. And a turnout election like this, we just have to work extra hard to make sure our candidates get elected. Again, I want to thank everybody on this Zoom who wrote postcards, who went and hung out in Rosamond and Steve's driveway. And we spent a week writing postcards, listening to their dogs bark at people walking by. And we basically had a really good time. Steve was very liberal with the wine pours. It helped us. I don't know if it helped our handwriting skills at all, but we did churn out the 1,671 postcards that Rosamond dropped the first week that went to low to moderate propensity voters in Spring Valley, which was targeted because of its extremely low turnout. And if you click on a couple of these, if you go to this site yourself, click on the voter turnout and reports button up top, and it can show you a little bit. If you zoom in on the map in the bottom, it'll show you that, oh my God, Spring Valley was a little bit better, but what we do matters. The little things we do, the few phone calls we make, the few postcards, the 100, 500, 1,000, 5,000 that you can donate to a candidate, it all matters. It all helps. But look how disgustingly low this turnout is all across this district. I mean, it's just, nobody's look at the main thing again, 21% turnout. So again, when we're trying to get people elected in Santee and maybe one seat at the El Cajon City Council, maybe the mayor, whatever we can do to help these candidates out, we want to do it. The other thing, so that's it for the election. The bottom line is we won and we helped elect Paloma Aguirre. I don't know if you've spent any time with her. She's an amazing human being. She's incredibly smart. She's a championship bodyboard surfer. She's just one of the coolest people you can meet. And I hated that attack ad on her where she said, oh, she didn't pay her taxes. Yeah, no shit. She's poor, man. She didn't have any money. That's why she didn't pay him. But she worked out a payment plan and paid him. But that was the main attack thing. And oh yeah, she voted to increase her salary from $900 to $1,100. I mean, the attack ads fell short. And if you haven't had a chance to read her winning statement that came out today, it's back to normal politics. It's congratulating the other candidate, Mayor McCann, and it's basically saying, I represent everybody in this district, and I'm going to work to help make San Diego County more affordable and make the air and water quality better. So it's congratulations to us. We won. The other thing I put in the chat is the Catalyst data dump. They finally came through with the Harris Trump election. I don't know if you can pull that up or not, but it's also in the chat. This is a scary map, folks. This is basically showing every county in the United States and who had an increase in Republican voters in red and which census tracts had an increase in blue. And it's not good for us. I think people like Congressmember Richie Torres in New York, in the Bronx, and Maria Perez in southwestern Washington State, that is the future of the Democratic Party. People who go out and listen to voters rather than lecture them, because we can't continue losing this amount of votes across the country. And we have to flip this to regain control of the House of Representatives in 2026. So I just wanted to share this. Again, the New York Times did the same type of data dump. Catalyst data, they also, what they do is they analyze every county's voter patterns in terms of census tracts, and this map shows the results. And basically what it says is, holy shit, Democrats got their ass kicked across the country, and we lost a lot of voters. If you dive deep into their report, I'm not going to go into the details too much, but the bottom line is we lost Hispanic males by an incredible margin. They flipped and went to Trump. People who voted for Biden flipped and went to Trump, and led by Latinos, man. The Chicanos basically said, screw you, I'm not voting for Harris, I'm voting for Trump. And they went real hard to Trump, and we got to get them back. So it's time to listen to them. And let's see if we can flip some of the congressional seats here in San Diego County, starting with ISA. That's it, Mitch. That's all I wanted to share. I really want to hear from Colin about affordable housing, and I really want to hear about Rosamond for what's on store in the next month or two for what actions we can take. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Chris. All right, Rosamond, we're going to try again here. I think we can do it this time. Yay. Oh, that's just Chris. Okay. Rosamond, you're muted. I'm going to ask you to unmute here. I may need to do that. Rosamond, you're still muted. Oh, darn it. You were unmuted for a second.
Okay, there we go.
Yay.
Let me-
All right, let's try it again.
Screen, and finally, let me see where it is. I can't find it. Let me see where it is. I can't find Windows. Let me see. Here it is. And let's go ahead and share this screen.
Okay.
You can see that.
No, it's not sharing. Oh, yes, it started screen sharing now, but it's black.
It is on my end. Let's see. It's loading. For some reason, it's taking its time at loading. Just give it a second. Here we go.
Sure, yay. All
Okay,
right.
let's look at some of the things that we can do. Can you? Right, we can recall. This is really important. There's many areas that we can do. The one that we should really concentrate in La Mesa is Eckert. And because he should not have won that seat, that should have gone to Jay Steiger. We have a lot of Democrats that either didn't vote or they got confused and they voted for him, Eckert. So I would encourage anybody who is listening now, go to the website, recallthetrustees.com. Go to there, sign the petitions, do what you can. Second, this is a weekly El Cajon rally, feet on the streets in defense of democracy. This happens every Thursday and Saturday. Parkway Plaza, Fletcher Parkway, and Magnolia. Please go. There's a great group out there, very friendly. You get lots of people that honk and are with us on that. That's another thing that you can do, and it just takes, come on, an hour or two a week. This is another. This is right down the street from me. This is Protect Social Security Rally and Protest Tuesdays. Every Tuesday at 10:30. Just walk down there. There's a bunch of people down there. Park in the Bonds parking lot across the street. Come across. We need to be out here, make our protest, bring a sign. We'd love to see you down there. And this is something that somebody sent to me, and I thought this was great. Reporters say this is one of the pictures that Trump wants removed from the internet. You know what to do. I guess his parade wasn't as great as he thought it was going to be because there's not very many people in the stands. This is our club at the El Cajon protest against ICE. This happened last Saturday. It was a great group. It was very hot out there. We marched down the street. We went to City Hall. There was no police around. It was friendly. It was lively. It was wonderful. And it was wonderful to see so many people in El Cajon join this. Picnic in the park. This is what we're doing, August the 6th, 2025. And you need to contact Meryl Perry. There's her email address there, or you can text her, take a screenshot of this. You can order a sandwich from her, or you can bring your own food or bring a dessert to share. We love to see you. The park is gorgeous at this time of the year. It's a wonderful way to get out and see people and be in the wonderful outdoors. Stop Cottonwood Sand Mine. They have now, the commission hearing is now scheduled for Wednesday, July 9th. I encourage everyone to either go on Zoom and see this or go in person. All you need to do for all the information about it, stopcottonwoodsandmine.org. This is important. This is really important. We need to stop this. Here we are, No King's March. This is us. This is members from our club. Here we were. It was an absolutely amazing crowd. So many young people with young children. It was a fun event. It was a great event, and I'm so glad that we could all participate in this. I'm going to give everybody a moment just to read this statement. This is from Paloma. This is her very elegant speech that she made talking about her win and how important it is, and how our club did so much to support her. Take a moment, just read this, or if you'd like, a screenshot, or you can always contact me and I will send this off to you. At the very bottom, thank you to everyone who donated, knocked doors, and believed in this campaign. It was a grassroots movement powered by working people at its core. We are so proud of her. And that is 1,671 postcards that we did. I took them down to the post office to Spring Valley the day that the ballots are dropped. So I hope that they did some good because it took an effort. Thank you, Chris, for being there. Thank you, Patricia, for being there. Meryl, for being there. Suzanne Hansen, I know I've forgotten some people, but it was a great effort. If I never see another postcard again for another month, I'll be happy about that. Flag Day Parade, June 14th. I wasn't able to go to the June Flag Day Parade, but some of our council people were there and they represented us. Two of these people are in our club, all three of them actually. Does anybody want to join Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs for the 4th of July parade? I did it last year. It's a lot of fun. This is the instructions here. Jackson will order a t-shirt if you get in touch with him. That's his email address at the very bottom. Please join us. There's just my husband and I going. I have room for 3 other people in my car if you want to go down there with us or go up there with us. It's a fun event. And this is sad. Art Madrid, one of the San Diego's County longest serving mayors, dies at 90. I met Art Madrid and at a meeting that I had at my house for a fundraiser. But one of the things that was delightful is that he was also from a very small little city in northern New Mexico, as I am. And so we had a few minutes to share about life in New Mexico. If you have any questions or you need more information about anything that you want to participate in, any suggestions, whatever, you need more information, please email at this address. And I think that is all for me. I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now.
Thank you, Rosamund. That was an excellent presentation, well worth the wait. And we have a question or a raised hand from Patricia Dillard. So Patricia, unmute yourself and state your
Yeah,
piece.
thank you. It's just a real quick thing. Rosamond brought up about the petition to recall. And I just wanted to remind anyone who is holding the actual petition, get signatures, to remember to ask the residents if they're a registered if they're a registered voter in the city of La Mesa, because if they're not, their signature isn't going to count. So just wanted to remind anyone. Yeah.
And just to the point of that, Patricia, also, if you're just a registered voter, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, you can sign the petition. So all you have to do is be around. Yeah, I think so. If you're a registered voter in La Mesa or wherever district you're signing the petition for, I think you can be either one. They just need to verify the.
Yeah,
I would like to.
That's right.
There are Republicans that are very upset at what is happening at Grossmont also. So it doesn't matter. You just have to be a registered voter.
Yeah.
Because I know in when the people were voting that those ballots were just for La Mesa. So that's why I was thinking that they had to be registered for La Mesa. But if they don't, that's great news.
No, they have to be. They have to be in the district, and the district.
In their district.
Yeah, and the district.
Okay.
That district includes the city of La Mesa and most of Mount Helix.
So,
but it doesn't matter what party people are members of, nor do they
Laura,
have to be a
Laura
member of the
Preble
party.
is our next speaker, and she's going to be addressing these points. So I'm going to suggest we turn things over to her. Laura?
Ah, there we go. I found it. Hello.
Hey, welcome.
Hello.
Laura.
Hello. So my name is Laura Preble, and I am on the executive board of the Recall the Trustees Committee. We just had a meeting tonight, in fact, right before I came on here. So it's my meeting day. I'm happy to be here, and I'm glad you let me speak to you a little bit about the recall. A couple of things. You only have to be in Area 2 at this time to sign the petition to recall Scott Eckert. We are going to try to recall more than just the one trustee, but this is what we have right now and the money that we have to do. It is, we can only afford to do one person at this time, but we're planning on Gary Woods is the next target, who's El Cajon. But Area 2, you can find out what area you're in by looking it up on San Diego Registrar of Voters. It'll tell you what area in Grossmont you are. And on our site, we have a QR code for that if you don't know for sure. But it's La Mesa, Casa de Oro, Mount Helix. It's a weirdly drawn map, so it's some people in El Cajon are even in it. It's not a specific thing to the city. So if you're not sure, go and check that out. What I did want to share with you is that we've had a kickoff event. I was not there because I was in Iceland and it was a little hard to commute from there, so I didn't go. But we did have quite a few people there. We had 160 people who volunteered so far. We've raised $10,000, which sounds like a lot, but you know these things cost a lot, so that's not in the big scheme a ton of money. What we really, really need are some people to help. And you guys sound like you're very active and wanting to do things. So that's what we really need is people to help coordinate. We need people to help get petition signatures, put up yard signs, which we're getting, I think, this week. We're having buttons. We're going to have flyers. We're going to have a lot of things to give people, and I will bring them to the next in-person meeting or to the park, I guess, because August is the park meeting, right? We have had about 116 people on the website who've said they want to sign the petition. And like I said, this just really got started. If you haven't been to a Grossmont board meeting, there is one July 17th at 6 o'clock at Grossmont High School. And this is a regular meeting that's been scheduled, but if you haven't been and you haven't seen the shenanigans that occur at the Grossmont meeting, I would highly encourage you to either go or look at some of the videos. There's so many things wrong with the Grossmont district. I don't want to go into detail because I think most of you already know, and you can ask me questions if you don't. But in terms of Area 2, what we found out had happened is Jay Steiger was running, as you know, for the Democrats. Scott Eckert was running, but had very misleading signage because he said teachers supported him, which they absolutely did not. And also, we found out that 3 of the candidates listed on the ballot were ghost candidates. They weren't actually, they're people, but they weren't really running. And they siphoned votes away from Steiger so that he ended up not winning. And there's action involved in that right now. And I think that the Union Tribune is doing a story on it later in July. So you'll get to see more details on that. But it definitely wasn't kosher. But really, the big message I have for you today is that we need people. We need boots on the ground, as they say, and we need people to help with getting signage for these petitions and help with putting up signs and raising money, especially. So if you go, I put at the very top of the chat, I have the website, which is recallthetrustees.com. I put my email in there also. If you want to contact me, I will get you in touch with the right person. It's at the very top of the chat because I put it in before we started. So I guess that's all I have to say other than I was a teacher and a librarian in the district. I retired right before COVID. So I guess that's my fault too. I made all this bad stuff happen when I retired. I'm sorry. But I just as a retired person who worked in the district, my kids went through the district. I feel very passionately about fixing what's happened. They've fired all the librarians, they've fired 2 counselors at every site, gotten rid of psychologists. They're just savaging the district. So I know that you all care about that. So I hope that you can help us because we really, really need some people power on this. Do you have any questions? Anything you want to ask me?
Yeah, if anybody has any questions, raise your hand or hit the raise hand button in Zoom. And I just want to say thank you for the work you're doing for you
Oh, yeah.
and your team there.
We're trying, but we aren't really skilled political people. I mean, most of us are just parents or teachers or people who just said, no, this is not okay for our kids. It's just not.
All right.
And it's not okay for the staff or the kids. So we need
All
some.
right. We have a question from Rosamond. Rosamond.
I just want to say that I have a few friends that are Republicans. Yes, I do still have Republican friends, and they are also upset at what is happening. So this is just not Democrats that are upset. Some of these people have children that are in that school district, and they're outraged about what is going on. So I think this would be an opportunity for us to work not across the aisle and get some of these other people involved in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And anyone who's within Area 2 and a registered voter can sign the petitions. I think we have something like 320 signature pages out in the wild right now with volunteers. So, but we can always use more people because we have to get it all turned in by November. So, so that we can make the primary in March. So anybody who has some time and wants to get busy doing something that will affect the community, we'd love to have you. There's a form on the site to volunteer and to donate. Any
Thank
other
you.
questions? You're welcome.
Thank you. Michelle, Michelle Krug has a question.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, I did speak with O'Day about it. I do want to, he didn't have the date. I want to know the date that all your petitions need to be in. I believe they gave you 4 months. Is that accurate?
I think
And
it's
what's the
November.
exact date?
I think it's November 17th, I think is the date. It's some date in November, but I'm pretty sure it's the 17th.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And we have a question from Lisa Garcia.
I just want to be clear what everything is. I know they're laying off teachers. Is that what you're talking about when they had a contract? Is that
There's several things that are it's very complicated. And I don't know if you've seen any of the news coverage, but yes, the biggest thing that started this was they decided that the schools didn't need librarians, which if you've ever been to a high school or worked in a high school or had a high school kid, you probably know that that's a really, really bad idea. They also laid off 2 counselors at each site, which means that then the counselor ratio goes up to like 650 a person, which is ridiculous. They laid off classroom teachers, so they're increasing the class sizes to 38, which when you average classes can be up to 42, which actually can't even fit in a classroom. I can tell you from experience that they don't fit. Those big human teenage bodies don't fit 42 in a classroom. So that's the part that's student and staff facing. But they also have done a lot of shenanigans, which you can read about in the paper. They had private meetings between their 4 board members. None of them have had kids in public school. They all teach or work in a private Christian school or tutor in a Christian school. There's video of them talking about how they want to get rid of public school. They think that it's wrong and they think everybody should be going to private school and going with vouchers. And that's why they're doing so many of these things where they're cutting positions. The other thing they did that was notable is there was a teacher who was actually fired and was gone, and then they rehired him, but he was also working for J.W. Howard, the attorney, investigating his old boss, the special ed director, who happens to be a lesbian, and the district board did not like that, said she was a witch, in fact, and that she was running a lesbian coven, which is, of course, ridiculous. So she's suing the district, but the person who was investigating her, as a quid pro quo, they gave him a job that didn't exist, the chief of staff job, for $187,000 a year. He had no experience in admin. There is no job there at all. When this got into the press, they fired him immediately, but he got to keep that money. So that's not fiscal responsibility in any way.
Laura, can I say something?
Sure.
About those messages? They already are in violation of state of California law with
Yes,
the
they
Brown Act violation, which
Yes,
I
they
plan to go to the next meeting and explain why did they think they could do this over group messages and group meetings.
Right.
So that is one of the most egregious things that is just shocking. I know there's not a lot of teeth to it, but that is something that we have to reinforce with them too. They're already in violation of state of California law.
Well, and Brown Act violations. Yeah, they don't think anybody's paying attention, I think. And they figure they can just do whatever they want. There's a 5th board member, Chris Fight from Area 1, who doesn't understand why they were doing any of this. He kept asking questions and saying, "We don't have a budget problem. Why are we doing this?" No one would give him an answer, and he's on the board. So, yeah. I'm glad you'll be there.
I have a question.
Yes.
We need to recall 2 trustees in order to prevent further layoffs next spring.
Mhm.
How much money do you need yet to reach sufficient funds to recall 2 teachers?
To
Two
recall 2
board members, sorry.
Well, that's what I was saying. We have about $8,400, right? We raised 10,000. We have about 8,400 on hand that we can spend, but it requires $1,900 just to turn in the petition to the registrar of voters. That includes costs related to publishing it in a newspaper and other things that go with the filing. So right now we're concentrating on Eckert because he's the newest one and will be there the longest. But the next person in rotation that we want to go after is Gary Woods from El Cajon, who's, if you've read anything about him, he's a ridiculous person who is not serious about education. But we can't do it all unless we have enough money. And how much we need, I don't really know. I know that I think they estimated to recall one person, it would take about $30,000 all told, including, flyers, signs. We're not paying petitioners, we're not paying people to get signatures. We don't want to do that because we feel like it's a lot more powerful if you have people getting signatures who are invested in this cause. And we have a lot of people who want to do it. And I hope it's including some of you because that's where you really get people fired up about it, is when you have people who are passionate about it.
Good. I see Lisa Garcia has her hand raised. Do you have another question, Lisa? Or
I just wanted to know, so you're asking us to do something. So
Yes.
like, clearly, what would you like us to do?
I'd like you to go to the website, which is recallthetrustees.com. There are 2 things you can do, well, actually 3. You can volunteer, which we desperately need people. You can donate because we desperately need money, and even a little bit would help. And then there is a place to say that you would like to sign the petition. You can't sign it online, which I think you know, because you have to do it on the actual official paper. But that's what I would like you to do is go to that website and sign up and donate.
Okay, and then I live in Rancho San Diego,
Mhm.
which is El Cajon mailing.
Yeah.
Is that part of the whole thing that's happening? Because a
Well,
lot of the teachers were being laid off
yeah.
at I don't know at Valhalla, but definitely it still can't. I don't
Yeah,
know, you
there
know.
are people
My
being laid
kids
out
are
at every school. It's every
uh-huh.
school. Whether or not you can sign the petition depends on if you are in area 2 right now. Like I
Okay.
said, we need more money to get everybody, but we're working on this one guy first because he would be there the longest. The other guys there's 3 of them up for reelection in 2026.
Okay.
But we don't want to wait that long because they've already ruined so many things, in a short amount of time. So, Rancho San Diego, I live in Rancho San Diego also, Mount Helix, and I'm in area 2. So you might be in area 2. It's not a strict boundary like by city or by, you have to go on the register of voters and check your voter registration, and it'll say sample ballot, and you look and it'll say gross mod area 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you very much. Thank you for what you're doing.
Sure.
So I have a question, Laura. Refresh my memory, please. Where do we find out if we live in area 2?
Okay, if you go to the registrar of voters page, and then I can do it right now so I can see exactly the steps. But you go to the registrar of voter page.
I think it's find my registration.
Yeah, and but you have to look at the sample ballot. That's where you can find the area.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
When I first did it, I was like, I don't know where it is, but I had to find out. So,
All right, we can come back to that.
okay, so you go on that site and
Okay,
then
got
you
it.
find the sound I want to vote or whatever, and then you go I want to register my vote to vote, and then there should be a sample ballot somewhere on there. Check my registration, that's what it is, the second one. Check registration status. You put in your house number, just the number, your birthday, and your zip code. And then it'll tell you what area you are in. Is that enough information, or do you need me to walk you through it more than that, or no?
No, I think we can figure it out from there.
I figured you probably could, yeah.
So we have another question from Karen Stevens. Karen.
Yeah, thank you. I'll check out that map, but I live by Parkway Middle School, so I think I'm in the right area.
Yeah, you're probably in the right. That's probably you. But like I said, the boundaries are really weirdly drawn. They're like amoebas. So go on that site. I want, check my registration and then look at the sample ballot. You just put your street number, your birthday, the zip code. It'll pop up what area you're in.
Well, I did get something to sign that I wanted to sign it, but remind us, where do we actually go to sign it?
Well, we're going to have several signing events, and there will be people walking door to door. If you can go to the meeting on the 17th, we'll definitely be there and you can sign there. And we'd love to see as many people as possible to let them know that people are paying attention. But we will be doing some events in the parks, and I will make sure you all know where and when that is, so you can come if it's convenient. I'll probably, I'll be at the event in the park in August also, so we can get signatures then too.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. We have a question from Patricia Dillard.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I have the actual petitions. And for the young lady who just asked where she could sign, if she wants to reach out to me, she can look me up on the La Mesa City website. I'm the vice mayor, or I can text my number in the chat. However, she wants to get in contact with me.
Great.
I'm happy to go to wherever she is for a signature.
Yeah, thank you. That's great.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I think that does it for questions. Thank you very much once again, Laura.
Oh, you're welcome.
And all right, so our next speaker is Colin Parent. I'm going to briefly introduce Colin because we do have newcomers here, even though people who've been around for a little while already know who he is. He was the first Democrat in many years to be elected to the La Mesa City Council. So he broke a Republican streak that had lasted a very long time. And he served 2 terms, 2016 to last year. He'll talk about affordable housing, what we mean when we say affordable housing, and about recent successes bringing affordable housing to La Mesa. And because I'm rusty at this, I did not write down your current position, Colin. So tell us all what you're doing now.
Sure. Yeah, thanks. And Mitch, if you're able to, can you give me a screen share access? I can show a little presentation while we talk.
Sure. Let me, I think you may be able to do it. Give it a try. If it doesn't work,
let's find out. No, I'm sending you a request, I think.
Oh, that's the way it works. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. No. Okay, we'll try it again. All right. Folks see this okay, great. Yeah, thanks for the introduction. Thanks for everybody else for being here. And Laura, I want to give you a special shout out for the work that you guys are doing at Grossmont. I just want to encourage people, if this is like all new to you, like Google it, read what they're talking about in the newspaper. It's completely bananas. This is not like a case of like honest disagreement with people. This is just like some really weird stuff that they're doing over there. So, and we need to put a stop to it. So with that, let's just say, I don't know about you guys, but I felt pretty good this morning waking up knowing that we were living in a county that's governed by Democrats. And that's a pretty cool thing. So, kudos for Paloma and for everybody else who was involved. We should all feel good about it. So I'm going to give you I just have a presentation about affordable housing in La Mesa. And I think we should have time for questions at the end. Just to answer Mitch's question, I have a day job. I run a nonprofit called Circulate San Diego. We do a lot of research and advocacy around housing affordability and safe streets and public transit. But yeah, I'm a former city council member in the city of La Mesa. But I've been working on affordable housing issues for more than a decade now. I actually started as I worked on Jerry Brown's campaign in 2010, and then was appointed to serve in his administration at the California Department of Housing and Community Development, and then was recruited from there to come back to San Diego to work at the San Diego Housing Commission, which is the public housing authority for the city of San Diego. And I worked at both of those housing agencies before joining Circulate and moving into a role of more of an advocate role. So I don't know that I need to explain this too much, but we are in a housing crisis. If people are not aware of that, happy to be the one to explain it to you. But FYI, we're in a housing crisis. Things are very expensive for a lot of people. These are just a couple of slides from the California Budget and Policy Center. But basically, these are just some of the statistics. 8 in 10 low-income households have unaffordable housing costs, meaning that they have to pay more for their rent than is reasonable for someone. It's very, very common, especially for low-income people. And it's also an issue that's disproportionately challenging to people of color in California. So there's real big problems with affordability for all sorts of people in California, but especially the most vulnerable. And so what I thought I'd do is I was going to run through kind of some basic concepts about what people are talking about when they talk about affordable housing. And so there's a variety. When people say affordable housing, they may mean Section 8, they may mean inclusionary housing, they may mean all sorts of different things, senior housing. And so there's a couple of distinct types of affordable housing that I'm going to cover. It doesn't include all of them, but it's like the big buckets. And so the first is it's kind of the most generic, naturally occurring affordable housing. This is stuff that there's no government requirement that it's affordable, but it's just affordable sort of on the natural. And so I have a couple of these examples for apartments to rent in La Mesa that are below the cost of an average apartment in La Mesa. And And you can see they're part of the reason these properties tend to be affordable is that they're usually smaller, right? And have fewer amenities. They're oftentimes in older buildings. And so a lot of times that's what places are affordable to people because because maybe they're just less attractive than some other things. And this is an important thing for people to be mindful about is the importance of this part of the housing stock is that it's only about 1 out of 5 income eligible households have access to subsidized housing. So most people who need affordable housing, who are eligible for it, they don't get that. They have to live in market rate housing. And so the market rate housing that's affordable is important to them too. In La Mesa, we also followed some state laws to make it easier for people to build accessory dwelling units like granny flats. This is a photo of a property on Nebo Drive in La Mesa that has a granny flat behind it. And these are things, oftentimes those granny flats tend to be smaller, more affordable, even if there's no government requirement that they be so. And for those of you who've been following the news in the city of San Diego, they have an ADU policy that has bonus units that can be actually really large. We don't do anything like that in La Mesa. When I was on the council, I sponsored the local policy to allow for this. And in La Mesa, you only allow homeowners to build 1 unit, which is what the state requires. The state has made it actually a little looser. But La Mesa just follows the state rules, but makes it really easy for homeowners to be able to build what's allowed if that's what they choose to do. So that's naturally affordable housing. That's what sometimes people talk about when they say affordable housing. Another big one is the Section 8 program, which people have probably heard of. Most housing professionals today call it the Housing Choice Voucher Program. And that program is it's funded by the federal government. Local public housing authorities administer it. When I was at the San Diego Housing Commission, that was the agency that administers that for the city of San Diego. And unlike some other programs, this is not related usually to a building. It's a voucher that you give to a household. And then they have that voucher and then they go find a place to rent. And then the government, through their public housing authority, pays for a large share of their rent. And so that's a really important program. It's the biggest expenditure that the federal government makes on an annual basis for housing affordability. And I put in some of the data here that about this is true nationally, but it's also true pretty much locally. About half of the voucher households are for households that are elderly or disabled. And so this is very crucial for people who are at risk in our housing market. And I put a little quote in here too. I know I think they're voting on it right now. The big ugly bill that the president has that is proposing to make substantial cuts to this program, and it's going to be a real bad thing to a lot of really vulnerable people and households nationwide, including here. It's going to be a big problem here. Like people are going to be are not going to be able to stay where they are today if that bill gets passed. So it's very bad. And then the third big bucket is subsidized housing, and this is oftentimes what people mean when they talk about affordable housing. Sometimes it's called capital A affordable housing. And this is housing that there's government funding in some manner. There's a whole variety of different programs, but what those programs all generally do is they help finance the building of homes that are permanently affordable to lower income families. And so the picture here on the left is in La Mesa. It's 8181 Allison. That's right catty corner to the city hall. You might have seen it under construction. And the picture in the bottom right is us doing groundbreaking at the beginning of 2024, I think, for that project. That's something that I worked on a lot on the city council. I was very proud of it. It's the first 100% affordable housing development in the city of La Mesa in decades. And so there's going to be about 200 families who are going to be able to live in a really resource-rich neighborhood that otherwise wouldn't be able to afford it. And so I think this is a great, it's right near transit, and so people will be able to, there's a clear climate benefit of letting people live near transit because they generate less greenhouse gas emissions when they do that. And the reason, and though and so this is permanently affordable housing, government funded. It's actually leased land from the city. It's the city actually owns the land underneath. And the reason that we don't build this like all the time everywhere is that it actually costs more to build it than anyone can make for rent, collecting rents from the people who live there. And so that's why you need that subsidy to make up for it, right? And so the people who live here are paying rent. They're just not paying enough rent to pay off the construction loans and all those other things to finance the project. And so that's why there's a government subsidy. And there's just not an unlimited amount of that. And so that's why we don't have as much affordable housing as I certainly think that we ought to have. And the way that affordable housing works, a lot of people ask this. They're like, well, what's affordable housing? What does it mean to be affordable? How much are they really paying? Is that really affordable? And there's all these different programs. It's very, very confusing. But generally speaking, the way that it works is there's two kind of tiers for affordable housing. For each unit or each building, there's an income level restriction, which means that if you can only live in that unit or in that building if you make at or below a certain income, right? And it's usually based on a percentage of what's called area median income, which means like the average income for a household in the area, usually a county. And so in San Diego, the average household income is about $100,000. Okay. And that's inclusive of, it's like couples, it's people living with extended family, but the average income of a household is $100,000. But that also means like most people make less than that, right? But half people make a little bit more than that. And so that the first thing is figuring out what the income level is for the unit or the building. And then generally speaking, the programs are structured so that a person who meets that income and who has one of those units can't be required to pay more than 30% of their income in rent. And that 30% is what the Department of Housing and Urban Development considers sort of a reasonable amount for a person to be able to require to pay for their living expenses, for their rent or mortgage. And so for a project, for a unit that's for 100% AMI, 30% of their monthly income is $2,500. Which is actually, more or less what the average rent is for a 2-bedroom apartment. And then the example 2 that I put is, you might have a unit that's set aside for a family that's making 50% of area median income, which is about $50,000. And so then they would pay $1,250 for their rent, which is still a lot, right? If you're making $50,000, that's still a lot of money, but it's much less than $2,500. Right. And so if you're a lower income person, having access to a unit like that makes your life a lot more manageable. And those buildings oftentimes are like pretty nice too, and in nice neighborhoods.
Okay, Colin, I'm going to interrupt
Yeah.
you for a second. Suzanne Till has a question on this slide. Suzanne?
Sure.
Hold on. Yes, thank you very much. So you're talking 30% of monthly income, and that's just $2,500 with rent. Does that include water, sewer, electricity?
Yeah, that's a great question, Suzanne. The answer is a little complicated. I don't know. It depends again. Here's one of the challenges. Every question, there's a different answer depending on which program is funding it, and so it's extra complicated. But generally speaking, yes, the way that the projects are the rules around them is that the total amount of spend for a resident has to be within a limit like that. And so it means that things like sewer, water, electricity are oftentimes packaged into that capped amount. I don't think it considers Netflix, but it does consider a lot of those other things. Yeah, so that's a great question. And it actually gets way more complicated. So this is a table, and you don't have to like memorize it or anything, but it just shows that the actual the amount of the amount depending on what income level a unit is set for, the amount of income you have varies based on the size of your household. The idea being that if you have two adults living together, they're likely to have a larger amount of income than otherwise. So it's all very complicated. This is why it's so confusing to so many people. And then there's also something that we have in the state of California that's been used a lot in La Mesa, which is Affordable Homes Bonus Program. And this is a program that that says that if someone's building a new apartment complex, if they set aside some units as permanently affordable, then they can have some streamlining to make it easier for their project to get approved. And this is the Little Flower Haven project on La Mesa Boulevard that people might be familiar with. It was built within the last decade, and it has some affordable units in it, and took advantage of that program. I actually couldn't vote on this project because it's right next to my house. So was ethically prohibited from voting on it. And then there's this other project that I'm going to talk a little bit more about in the next couple slides, the Cantera project. This is a townhome project on High Street in La Mesa, close to Lemon Grove. It's about 36 townhomes that were made that were recently built, and 4 of those units are set aside for purchase for moderate income buyers, and it's through that bonus program. So they got some special benefits in exchange for committing to building some affordable homes. That and moderate income buyers are like we said, it's about $100,000, $2,500. Like if you get a house and you can pay a mortgage for $2,500, that's a big deal, right? In this economy, like that's much lower than what it would be to purchase an average valued house in San Diego. And this bill was this policy was updated a couple of times. I actually had the great fortune of drafting and sponsoring one of the big enhancements with it that then Assembly Member Lorena Gonzalez carried in the legislature. And so this is a little photo from a press conference that I did with her in I think the beginning of 2020, before everything shut down. So, and so, okay, so here's a little surprise. This is like the timing, I guess, of this presentation is good, but there's some shenanigans that are being proposed at the city of La Mesa, and I wanted to raise this to people's attention because if you care about affordable housing, you care about making things more accessible and affordable for people in our community. There's some of that is at jeopardy. So this project that I mentioned earlier, the Cantera project, was approved in 2019 by the city council. Everyone voted for it. I voted for it, and it said that in exchange for some certain benefits for the development, that the developer had to set aside 4 of their 36 units to be made available for sale for moderate income buyers, right? And found out earlier this year that the developer is trying to get out of that obligation. And even more troubling, the city staff has recommended to the Planning Commission earlier this month to grant a bunch of waivers so that the developer could get out of their obligation to build those affordable homes. And that's just completely bonkers. And I don't just mean like I disagree with it. I mean, that never happens. I've talked to people at the State Department of Housing about this. This is completely unprecedented. They're investigating it. This is completely crazy. And so if this is not on your radar, I want people to be aware of it. This is some really weird stuff happening right in our backyard. And this is an article in Axios that was written about it. And people are interested. You can Google it and read it. It provides some good background on it. And then because we're here to be politically active, I want to encourage people to attend the city council meeting on Tuesday, where I believe there's going to be an appeal of the Planning Commission's decision scheduled then. And my understanding is that also council members Cazares and Suzuki will have a council-initiated item to try to stop this from happening. And so if you're incensed about this like I am, there's an opportunity to show up, use your public comment opportunities and speak about this and make sure that this doesn't happen. This is important to this is, you know, it's only 4 units, but you know what? We can't think in that way. We have to fight for every affordable unit to make sure that more people are having opportunities to live in an affordable, dignified way. And people have an opportunity to help out with that if they like. So with that, that's it for the presentation. Hope you guys got a little bit of a sense of what affordable housing, you know, how affordable housing works, and also how you can get involved in some of those issues right here in La Mesa.
Thank you, Colin. We have a question from Jean Mullally. Jean.
Jean, you're muted. Jean, you're muted.
All right. Do we have another question? Oh, we have a question from, okay, Jean, I hear you.
So, Colin, I've got a question about the whole concept of, you know, can we really build our way to affordable housing? And is it really a supply problem of a surging population against a fixed supply of housing that's raising prices? You know, it seems to me that it's been really driven by Federal Reserve policies that lowered interest rates. And during the COVID experience, that was most egregious example of it, where they dropped interest rate, 30-year fixed rates to 2%. And during that period, housing prices nationwide went up on an average of 40-some% in prices, and to me that's been the driver of this bubble that's been taking place in housing prices. So affordable housing isn't caused by a lack of supply. It's driven by a surplus of dollars being poured into the housing market that has made it unaffordable for so many people. And the solution is what we should be striving towards is elevating people's incomes, finding a way to make affordable. We're not going to make it by prices aren't going to drop on housing. That doesn't happen. If it did, it would create a financial crisis if people lost their equities in their homes, but by elevating incomes to make it affordable. So I wonder if you could comment on that thought.
Yeah, I mean, those are great points, Gene. I think, you know, let me just scroll back to one of the things here. So if you look at the voucher program, the Housing Choice Voucher Program, you can see that like half of the people who are on that program are elderly or disabled. This is a population for whom like probably the market is never going to really work for them, right? So even if you built a lot more homes and kind of addressed the supply and demand issue, that probably wouldn't solve their housing problems. Right. And so you really do need programs like this, programs like subsidized housing to help people for whom the market is not going to be enough. And so I think that's really, really true. And there's also, like you said, there's a whole bunch of like financial things that, you know, interest rates and FHA rules and all these other things that drive affordability that are major factors. I think that's really, really true. I don't think that supply and demand alone explains the housing challenges that we have. That being said, I do think supply and demand is a factor, and it's a factor that we should acknowledge and take seriously. And basically the numbers, I don't have them in the slide presentation or anything, but the numbers are pretty clear. Like our population for the last 3 decades has grown faster than the unit production in just about every place, and especially here in like major metropolitan areas. So that's definitely a factor. But if we just let builders build whatever they want and build a whole bunch more homes, that wouldn't solve the problem for a lot of people. And so I think the thing with housing is the largest share of the economy. It's the largest component of just about everyone's home budget, right? The household budget. It's also one of the biggest sectors in the economy. And so there's just a whole bunch of factors that go into it. And so I think I always recommend to people not to think of that there's just like one silver bullet to any of the problems there.
Well, I'd like to see the data. Like I've been looking at census data, which is every 10 years you take a census. But if you track it, the ratio of in San Diego County, for example, the ratio of housing units to population has been fixed. It doesn't suggest a ratio that would support the idea that there's an insufficient supply of housing. So, so I'd like to see the data. If you could provide that to us, that'd be very interesting for me to read.
Sure. No, I'm not. It's not hard to find. It's not hard to find.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Gene. Next question from Lisa Garcia. Lisa, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, Colin. How are you? Thank you for your presentation. So I was wondering about the little houses, or that's hard to get those as well, correct? Is that part of the programs, or?
You mean like, I guess you mean like
Tiny houses?
accessory dwelling units or
No.
tiny homes?
Tiny homes.
Tiny homes. Yeah.
Sorry. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't include them in here, but that's definitely a piece of the puzzle for sure. And if people aren't familiar with tiny homes, they're usually like manufactured homes that are like really, really tiny, like we're talking 200 square feet oftentimes. And there's been a lot of dialogue about and some experimentation about creating tiny home communities for especially people who are homeless or recently homeless. And I think those are valuable and good options. But I think it's also true that they're not for everybody, right? Like if you're like a single mom with 2 kids, like a tiny home is probably not going to be a good option for you, right? But if you're like a single adult male, right, maybe it's a good option for you. And so I think it's worth thinking broadly about these sorts of things and trying to make it a little easier for the kinds of nonprofits and others that we're trying to do that sort of stuff. I think there's been one. I know there's been a talk about doing one in Lemon Grove, but they've also had a small tiny home village in the backyard of a church in El Cajon for recently homeless people, and I think those are models that are worth exploring.
Yeah, and the one in El Cajon is working out real well.
Yeah.
They get back on their feet by using this home, and they get their voucher or whatever next, moving on. It's kind of like a stepping stone. So I think it's,
All right. Thank you. Thank you,
you.
Lisa. Next question is from Bonnie Price. Bonnie.
Yes, what impact has the commercialization had on private housing? That includes both Wall Street and Verbo.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a factor for sure, and I think one of the things that you've seen a lot is that, especially in the mortgage markets, government, public, corporate entities are, kind of stand between a potential buyer and their housing opportunities, and so I think those can be real challenges, and I think this is why I was like a Elizabeth Warren voter. I really liked her policies about making things like she had one of her policies that I really liked was a requirement to make ordinary consumer financial products to be clear and easy to understand, right? And that seems kind of obvious, but like, is anyone who's bought a house or sold a house and has seen all the documentation, it's quite difficult to understand. And so I think there's a real important role for regulators to make things easier and simpler for people, and so that regular people are not taken advantage of.
Good. Chris Pearson, next question from you.
Sure. Thanks, Colin. Appreciate your presentation. How do we make it easier for public and private employers to subsidize housing?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah. Honestly, I think the best way is to join a union and demand it as a part of your bargaining, or demand that you get paid more, and raise minimum wages, raise those sorts of things. I think it's good to, if an employer wants to like sponsor your housing in some fashion, that's great. One easy way to do that is just to pay more. Right.
Yeah, I agree, Colin, but I noticed that MTS and some of the school districts in San Diego County are building employee housing. I'd like to see it spread to private employers. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's great if they want to do it. I think it's not obvious what the leverage points are on that, right? What part of the reason whereas what's different than what's so great about what school districts are doing and what MTS are doing is that, unlike a lot of private companies, they have a lot of real estate, and they can make some of that real estate they're not using, right? So like MTS, they have a lot of empty parking lots that, like, it's not just that their cars are in there sometimes. Some of these lots are just like empty all the time. In Spring Street in La Mesa, half of that parking lot is fenced off 24/7 because there's just no demand for it. And so fortunately, the MTS is actually looking at allowing for some housing to be built there, which I think would be a positive thing. But I think for the private companies that do have similar resources, and some have real estate, right? I mean, biggest real estate owners in California are AT&T and Disneyland, right? We should be making sure that there's like a good path for them. We make it easy for them to build the right kind of housing if they want to, right? And there's policies that they should look to what we're doing to make it easier to build on school property if the schools want to, and see if we can create the same sort of tools for those.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. I think that was our last question. So thank you very much, Colin, for all the work you do and all the work you have done. And we're gonna move on now. We're gonna do
Thanks, everybody.
We're gonna do the open mic portion of the meeting momentarily. But first, it's time to pass the virtual hat. Please contribute to the club. If you have not paid up your membership, please do so. And if you can make an additional contribution, please do that too. Your contributions help us bring you our meetings, 11 of 12 of which are in person, and you don't have to spend a lot of time looking at my face. And more importantly, we help elect Democrats and advance progressive policies. You can contribute at the URL, which I am about to drop into the chat. And there it is. Or you can just go to the website, the Mesa-Foothills-Democratic-Club.com, and click on the Become a Member Contribute link at the top of the page. And now we're going to go make time for local leaders to talk about the things that are important to know about. Please raise your hand, use the raise hand button on Zoom, or leave a message in chat, and we will call on you and give you the floor for a minute or two. And our first speaker is going to be Suzanne Till, who is going to speak as a candidate. Suzanne, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Suzanne Till, and yesterday we filed with the FEC for me to run for Congress for the California 48th. I'm going to share with you my screen because we have an absolutely fabulous, let's see if I can minimize this. Can you see my website there?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we have an absolutely fabulous website that we have done. If you go down, here's a little bit if you don't know much about me. I am a Marine Corps veteran, and I've represented Santee at Padre Dam Municipal Water District Board of Directors. A lot of the 48th is represented in my district. We serve 125,000 ratepayers. I have won twice in my division, which is R plus 13. The last election, it was 24% margin, 62 to 38, and they came out guns blazing against me. And I also have a track record of bringing back funding and jobs to the region. I brought in $935 million for the East County Advanced Water Purification Program, and it's about 2,500 really good paying jobs. I just want to say my platform is, besides we need to take back Congress and make Congress accountable to the people, basically for me, and there's myself and my son, is affordable housing, water, and energy. That I have been on the doors, knocking and walking and talking for the past 5 years, and that is where everybody is very concerned about. And so that's going to be the primary platform. And so let me unshare. So just to say, I have opened it up. I can take checks now. Next week we should have for online fundraising. We have a plan, and the plan is going to do a poll to figure out the pathway to win. I've had 2 political science professors at UCLA. They're going to do it for a good price and get an accurate poll. And we also know, and we also understand, the big issue with Darrell Issa will be fundraising. So thank you very much. And I'll put in the chat information, to reach me, to go to the website, and also to donate this week by check. But next week we'll have online fundraising.
Thank you very much, Suzanne, and we're looking forward to having you as our guest at the club as our next congressional representative. So, do we have more questions or announcements? Any? Raise your hands. All right, I'm gonna start the closeout here, but I'm gonna keep one eye on the chat and on the participants list. So if you do have a question or or announcement to make, raise your hand or leave a message in chat, and we'll go over to you. And Tina has an announcement. Tina, go ahead.
Remember, next month is our party in the park. If you would like to come, please contact Merrill to arrange for your sandwich order. We will have dinner ready for you, but you got to register first.
Thank you, Tina. All right, so I guess we're wrapping up here. Look for a replay of this meeting soon on our YouTube. I'm laughing because Walter is photobombing here. Look for a replay of this meeting soon on our YouTube channel. Just search for the Mesa-Foothills Democratic Club on YouTube and subscribe while you are there. The website is lamesafoothillsdemocraticclub.com, or if that's too much for you to type, lmfdems.com. The Facebook page and group have the same name as the club. We have a page and a group because Facebook is crazy. If you want to sign up for our email updates, go to the website and look for the Get Email Updates link at the top of the page. Thank you to the board for their hard work they do, and also thank you to our speakers and to you, our members, for spending some of your valuable time with us. Our next meeting is Wednesday, August 6th. It's the picnic in the park. Look for details on the La Mesa-Foothills Democratic Club newsletter and in our email newsletter as well. Thank you for staying with us, and we hope to see you soon at the next meeting of the La Mesa-Foothills Democratic Club. Good night, everyone.